when I started planning this track, instead of taking the approach that we had taken in the past, which is to essentially take people who were talking about monetization tools and services kind of at face value with their submissions, what I did was I approached the problem in the reverse, and I thought to myself, what are the elements that a developer needs to know, or what are the elements that a developer needs to consider in order to effectively optimize how much money their game makes? And we've talked about things like customer acquisition, and we've talked about advertising, and we've talked about links to the offline world. We've talked about expanding your geographic reach into regions that maybe monetize better. But one of the things that not very many people are talking about, except for people like Yaniv, is how do you design, build, maintain, and promote a great store experience in your game? You know, in a free-to-play game, you're basically creating one big shop. And as Emily Greer said earlier, your game is a monopoly, right? There's nobody else that can sell anything in your game, with a few exceptions that are quasi-illegal. So what Yaniv does with his company, SOOMLA, is he thinks every day about how do you build tools that will enable developers to make great shopping experiences within the context of a free-to-play game experience. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Yaniv to tell us what he does.
Thank you, David, and thank you for arranging, you and the team, this great conference, and thank everybody for showing up. And actually pretty excited to be here. Don't know if you can hear that on my voice. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you about how to make a perfect store, how to get users to your store, and how to keep them coming back for more. So a bit about myself. I want to start with how I got into gaming. This was when I started as a kid. One of my first gaming experience was Digger. I don't know how many of you know that game. It's pretty early on in the days of PC games. And it's actually quite a funny story, because me and my friends used to play it for so long. And then we didn't realize that you can actually shoot the monsters. So again, you run away from the monsters and you collect the gold. And then there is the gold sacks. And if you can move underneath the gold sack, it crashes the monster that is chasing you. So you can actually make traps for the monsters, and they will get crashed. And then we played it for like 6 months. I was like the best of my friends. We didn't have online leaderboards. We had offline leaderboards. It was a different experience then. But then somebody actually showed us that you can actually shoot the monsters. And it was quite interesting, because it gave us like more months of fun gameplay. And this is kind of the same experience we're shooting for when we're doing in-app purchasing. We try to make the game evolve as the user gets more capabilities and more virtual goods to his characters. So this is kind of the early experience that shaped a lot of what we are doing today. The second game I got really hooked on was Civilization. It's a very popular strategy game. It's one of the first strategy games that existed. And the idea there was to race for world domination. And this is one of the games that really had an extensive in-game economy experience. So you could build cities, buy ships and armies and everything. And this is what free-to-play games, a lot of the successful free-to-play games are about, how to really buy more abilities for your players. And I probably didn't play games for 15 years, became an entrepreneur, started a bunch of companies, and then didn't have a lot of time to play until mobile games. And this is part of why mobile games is so exciting. It allows everybody to play all the time. Everybody has 5 minutes to play a day, and we see more and more users are actually playing games these days that haven't been playing before. So this is why this industry is so exciting, and everything is moving, and there's a lot of opportunities to do many cool stuff in this industry these days. So a bit more about my professional background. So these are last 3 companies I started. The one common denominator is monetization. So in all these 3 companies, I was holding the monetization function. I was the business side of the company, and all these companies were about monetization. So iView was about monetizing, is still about monetizing video content. IntentClick was about monetizing blogs and textual content, and SOOMLA is about monetizing games and virtual economies. And the one thing I can say about monetization is that if you want to monetize well, you actually don't need to focus about monetization. You need to focus about retention and about engagement. This is something a lot of people don't realize when they think about monetization first. So about my company, SOOMLA, just a few more words. So what we do is we have a self-serve platform that we have developed for usually small game developers to add in-game stores to their games. So the idea is you take a template, you upload your artwork, and you can configure all the different virtual goods and the prices. We support Unity and Cocos 2DX and obviously native, iOS and Android. And the power behind it is that it's always connected to the servers. So you can actually tweak pricing and add more. If you want to add offer walls, if you want to add virtual goods or move virtual goods, change the categories, change the colors of the buttons in the store, it's all possible because it's all powered by our backend. And it's really a cool way to get an in-game shopping experience without investing too much time and effort into it at the beginning, and then having all the ability to analyze and optimize the experience as your game progresses. So what we do is we work with a lot of game developers about their shopping experience as part of that, and I want to bring some of those insights into this session. So how do we make perfect stores? So the first thing about perfect stores is it's not about making money. If anything, you need to think about not how to make money, actually try to meditate on a shopping experience with no cash transaction. So think about a great in-game economy that doesn't have cash coming into the experience, and actually balancing it as a game economy, and then adding the cash on top of that is probably a much better way to do that. So you want to make the shopping experience, the store, the economy, a core part of the game, and then think about how you get users coming in more and more times. So that's pretty much how you start thinking about making a good store. So a big part of that is creating an everyday shopping experience, sort of a consumption loop, where the way you do it is first of all, your game needs to have in-game coins so the user can gain in-game wealth just by playing. And then you need to create a single-use item or a resource in your game that actually fits the game narrative well and is complementing the game experience. And it almost feels like if we hadn't had that in the game would be missing something. So almost like shooting in Digger or the surfboard in Subway Surfers. So it's actually interesting because a lot of game developers that come to use SOOMLA, they don't realize that. They think about, okay, how do I sell levels and upgrades, and how do I sell remove ads? And this is different. You need to actually think about the in-game shopping and the in-game store to get an in-game shopping experience that gets the user back into the store. And then obviously they will start buying things with real money as they get more engaged with the game and with the game economy. So another key part is where you put the entrance to the store. So this is actually based on this is a true story. That one of the developers working with SOOMLA, he had a great boxing game. It's a cool game. It's you box your opponent. If you win, you win a cash prize. So it has all the components that can make a great in-game store experience, in-game economy. You have the cash in, and then all you need to do is get the user to the store and get him to buy skills or training for his character. You can buy more characters, you can buy different things. But then he put the entrance to the store, like the user had to go out like 3 steps back and then go in like 2 steps just to get into the store. So this is not a very good experience for the user if you want to get him really into the game economy, really involved and invested in the game. You need to make it easy for him to enter the store. Obviously, between levels or sessions, one step away, pretty straightforward. Just sometimes people don't think about it. So another key component is focusing on selling value. So as Dave mentioned before, we want to actually create an experience where the user is engaged with the in-game economy, and is actually the economy, the model needs to simulate the real world in a way. So the best way to do it is to actually show him the value in what he buys and actually making him make tough decisions. So there's no absolute, but you can have 10 different guns in there. One will have a better range, one will have a better shooting speed, one will have better aim, but no one will be absolute best. And then the user will need to ask himself more about, okay, what gun fits me as a user best? And maybe he'll try a few options, and then he will realize more things about how he plays the game. And he really needs to investigate all the different guns and what gun has which attributes. So having these attributes is a very good way to actually focus the shopping experience on selling value and actually making the user, especially if the prices do not allow the user to buy like 10 different guns, he needs to make those tough decisions. And he can actually, if he resets the game and he plays it again, he can actually make different decisions, and it creates a completely different game experience for him. Another trick on that front that a lot of the successful games are using is once he buys, even if it's an in-game currency purchase, so he's not actually spending real money, but it still asks him, are you sure? Why is that? It's because we want the user to feel like he's making an important decision. He's using his hard-earned coins that he worked hard to gain inside the game, and we want to make him aware that he's making that tough decision. And actually, it helps us to help to build the perceived value of the virtual goods that we're selling. It also makes it very similar to the actual cash transaction experience that also prompts the user, are you sure? So it makes it later on easier to sell him cash transactions. Another tip or component that is interesting to add to great store experience is add some mystery. So a lot of developers, when they start off, they think about the game as a static product that they sell, but it's actually more of a service that needs to evolve over time. If you want to create a successful game, it's not about getting $10 from a user at the first week. It's about getting 10 cents every week. And in order to do that, you need to keep some mystery into the store, unlocking items as the user progresses in levels, using silhouettes for items that haven't been unlocked yet. So the user needs to actually come back just to see what items are available. He doesn't have all the options available to him at the beginning. 1 second. So yeah, as I started to say before, the game is a service. Free-to-play games are a service. So they need to evolve over time, and they need to make the user feel that he has a reason to come back for more. So one of these things is having products with levels, those progress bars that we have all seen in Subway Surfers or Temple Run or other games. Sometimes it's just levels, it's not a progress bar. But also adding more items as time goes by. Subway Surfers is one game that does a great job at it. They keep adding more things into the game and into the store experience, and a lot of it is actually coming into the game economy. Another thing that can be added is limited editions for item, and this is so. Let's say you have a standard sword, but you can add like a sword that only 10 users can buy or 100 users. And then those users who actually bought like a bunch of in-game coins and have nothing to do with them. Now they have a reason. They can own something that nobody else owns, and it makes them spend those coins, and then they can re-engage in the economy experience. They don't have excess wealth anymore. So yeah, so this is the last tip or method, waiting mechanics. So you might have seen this in some of the successful games. So you cannot play continuously for too long. You have to wait for something to replenish. So it could be fuel, it could be energy, it could be life points. So that has two reasons. One is obviously some users might pay for just to be able to play more, but this is not why I'm bringing this up. The reason I'm bringing this up is sometimes you can just make a delay of like 1 minute. So if the user keeps playing like 5 sessions in a row, 10 sessions in a row, and never gets to the store, but if you add like a 30-second wait, he wouldn't go away to do something else yet. He wouldn't pay to save 30 seconds, but he might spend some time in the store and evaluate the different options. So he accumulated 10,000 coins. Now he can think about what he's doing with that. And then that gets him more engaged into and more invested into the game. He actually has things that he bought and identify himself with. So just to summarize what we talked about, we talked about the everyday shopping experience, creating that consumption loop that gets people into the shop regularly. Every 1 or 2 or 3 sessions, they can collect coins and then buy items that are consumable, and they need to buy them all the time. And then they come back to the store. The store location is an obvious one. Selling value, are you sure, and also the attributes. And then keeping it fresh and thinking about your game as a service that needs to evolve and not as a static thing. And then the waiting mechanics that allow users time to get into the store and really investigate what they can get by buying more virtual goods. That's about it. If you want to check out our platform, you can go into our website, SOOMLA, or our blog also has a lot of great resources about how to balance virtual economies, how to create a great shopping experience. The latest one is called 42 Ways to Monetize Your Mobile Game. If you can think about 10 or 20 or 30, there are ways you're missing, so you might want to check it out.
Thank you very much, Yaniv.
Thank you.
So I saw this guy come in. I have to say this. There's another Israeli in the room who also knows a lot about monetization. I couldn't squeeze him into the monetization track, but he's actually speaking, I think, at 4:30 today, right? Raise your hand. This guy, Tzvi, how do I say your name? I always screw it up. Tzvi, yeah, from Applicasa, also knows a ton about this topic. So make sure you check out his session. I think it's next door at 4:30. With that, are there any questions for Yaniv? While I walk back, I have one. Can you go back to you talked about store location. Can you go back to the slide where you showed the Real Racing 3 screenshot? Yeah, that one.
This one. Yeah.
Nope,
No.
forward one.
I'll find it.
So there's a Deliver Now button right there. Wow, all your fancy animations are really freaking me
All
out.
the fancy animation confused me. Yeah.
Would you consider that a doorway to your store or part of your store experience? Because store kind of implies a location or a specific interface around buying stuff versus a button on an existing interface about something else.
This wasn't so much about the store experience, the store entry. This was about creating a situation when the user has to wait for something, and then he can check out. He has time to check out different things in the store. With this specifically, though, he's actually waiting here, and this might not be the best image to represent what I wanted to say here, but he's actually waiting for an item to be delivered. So this is part of the store. This can be implemented in the store. Yeah.
So I'm asking myself, is there any connection between the number of items I have in the store to how many or if anyone will buy anything. So is it the more stuff there is in, the more they will buy, or is there any limit where the players just overwhelmed and just leaves the shop?
I see. So yeah, I don't think there is a one-size-fits-all answer. It really depends in the game. There you can see games like Candy Crush Saga. They all only have like a handful of things to buy, and have been very successful doing that. I don't need to tell you. Other games have much more items, many more items. But if you do have more items, I would definitely suggest limiting the amount of item that the user can access at a given time, right? So you want to create that unlocking mechanism that the user needs to progress in levels before he can access more items in the store, and then it kind of narrows down his choices at the beginning. Also, if you have a lot of items in the store, it's probably a good idea to do a tutorial and include the store experience in it to kind of show him how to navigate inside the store at the beginning. Yeah.
Any other questions for Yaniv? Okay. Thank you very much, Yaniv. And thank you for making the trip all the way from Tel Aviv.
Thank you, everybody.